I'm in Belgium here on the beach, probably facing Dover, I should think, if you think about crossing the channel. That's the monument of Albert I. I'm here at the Albert I Memorial in Newport in Belgium. Albert I was a popular king. He held the line, the end of the Western Front here in Newport, which actually was the end of the Western Front, it was the North Sea end, and they held the enclave against the Germans for about 4 years. And the River Iser, which goes down through Ypres, was the front line. As I was driving on the motorway in England to come to Belgium, I stopped and I saw inside an arcade in the motorway services a sign that said, "Imagination is important for winning." And I thought that's a really profound thought, because it's absolutely true, right? Unless you imagine winning, why would you play? Because you always lose. Gambling is that's a mug's game in a sense, because it's fixed, it's rigged, right? You have to imagine winning. And I guess they want to encourage you to imagine winning, so you play. Because actually, if you imagine losing, which is actually what happens, you wouldn't play, would you? It'd be crazy if you imagined losing. So actually, when you imagine winning, you're imagining a best possible outcome that never happens. Now, if we think about anxiety, with anxiety, we imagine a worst possible outcome that never happens. Because that's catastrophizing, right? We always catastrophize. We think of things as bad as it could possibly be, but it never happens. So what's the alternative? Imagine that you use your imagination to think about the steps it would take to winning, right? With gambling, you have to lose, you have to lose, you have to lose, you win a bit. You have to lose, you have to lose, you have to lose, you win a bit. If you imagine that, you wouldn't gamble, because there's much more losing than there is winning. But let's suppose we also thought about the steps it takes to reach the catastrophe that never happens with anxiety. The catastrophe never happens, right? So what are the steps? Well, that step doesn't happen either, 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 and the catastrophe doesn't happen. So actually, if we use our imagination to imagine the steps it takes to get towards winning, never happens. There's absolutely no way that you gamble. But let's imagine the steps it takes to get towards catastrophe. Catastrophe doesn't happen either. It would actually diffuse your anxiety. It would be a really simple way to stop feeling anxious and to stop believing that the catastrophe that never happens might happen. So I hope you found this interesting. Here at the Albert I Memorial in Newport.